my name is Justin Nachazel. Today I will be interviewing...
My name is Kylie Bamberger, but most people know me by Kylie Bamberger. I am an alopecia advocate in the community.
All right. Well, let's start off with, tell us what alopecia is.
Well, alopecia is an autoimmune hair loss disease. It can result from anywhere from bald spots to total body hair loss. It just depends on the diagnosis and the individual.
Okay. Well, tell us more about your story.
My story kind of starts when I was 12 years old. When I was 12, my mom was braiding my hair one night and we came across 2 small bald spots, and she thought, well, those are really strange. It kind of sets off a little bit of fear and panic within a parent. So we ended up going to the doctor who diagnosed it as alopecia areata, which is alopecia for area, which is like small bald spots. And they can basically range anywhere from the size of a quarter to the size of a softball. It's really, really different for every individual. Mine were basically the size of 2 half dollars. And so we ended up going to do some treatments for the next 3 years that would go anywhere from like a topical steroid treatment to actual injection of steroid within the scalp. And it wasn't my most favorite experience or memories, but it would make the hair grow back in that spot, but it wouldn't guarantee that it wouldn't fall out in another. So for the next 3 years, I would have bald spots that would come back and other bald spots that would appear. I lost half my eyebrow at one point, which often required a bit of explanation. I would lose hair in very obvious places like behind my ear. And basically it was just a lot of masking, a lot of covering up, a lot of, okay, I wear my ponytail on this side just because it helps cover up the bald spot that's over there. And it wasn't until I was 15 when my hair basically one morning just progressively started to fall out, and within a week I had lost over 80% of my total hair, and that was then diagnosed as alopecia totalis. Alopecia totalis is alopecia total, which just means your head is affected, but your body hair, your eyelashes, and your eyebrows all remain in place. And then later on, within 3-4 weeks, I just progressed to alopecia universalis, which is total body hair loss, everywhere, all over, arm hair, leg hair, toe hair.
Oh, toe hair.
All the toe hair. All the hair on your body is susceptible.
Is that common for it to progress the whole way, or is it kind of range? Do some people just lose a hair spot and then it comes back, or?
It's really a tricky disease. It's an autoimmune disease, but it's also known as idiopathic, and it just basically means there's just not enough research and there's not enough known study on how to deal with the disease, if it's just going to stay as one or if it's going to progress. Some people just have bald spots for their whole life. Other people I've known lost their hair when they were 35, grew it back when they were 40, fell out again at 42, grew it all back when they were 50, and then it fell out, or grew it all back and then it fell out again, and they just have these crazy cycles. There's really not enough research and there's really not enough known information about this disease that is at all predictable. We just know that hair loss is alopecia.
Oh. With the research that has been done, has there been any sort of progress at all?
There has been. There's actually been some recent studies in the last few years that have pointed to the fact that it is genetic, but they unfortunately haven't been able to nail down what exactly about it is genetic. So they don't know what's triggered. They don't know what necessarily causes it. Some people are losing their hair when they're 2 years old. Some people are losing their hair when they're 52 years old. There's such a wide range, and that is the sadly very unpredictable side of alopecia.
You lost your hair at a really critical point in life. You talked about that, how it kind of affected your high school life.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it affects everyone in such different ways that there isn't just, okay, well, now that you have alopecia, here's the next things that you can do. For me, losing my hair at 15 years old, really, I had to grow up very fast. Like I couldn't necessarily just, be spontaneous anymore, because I was wearing wigs all the time and I became so dependent on them that you kind of forget that you're wearing. In fact, you forget that you're wearing them.
Okay.
But it's such a relief to take them off, and so I was always it's like 1,000 degrees in here. But I was always so dependent on them, and you kind of don't realize that when you're wearing them, how much of that becomes your identity and how much of that you tie to yourself and your aesthetic. And so it took me a really long time to become comfortable without wigs again. So I wore wigs from the age of 15 through 2021, and then periodically after that I would just wear it for my own comfort. But I really struggled with kind of feeling confident in who I was and creating a sort of identity for myself. I kind of instead created identities based on the hairs that I was wearing. If it was a redhead, or if it was blonde, if it was brunette, I had anything and everything you could imagine.
If it was a redhead, you're crazy.
Sassy.
If it was a blonde, you were gonna have more fun.
I just, whatever. But I really became tied to those personas, like really quickly.
Do you miss having hair?
I don't know. I don't think I do. And no, I think the answer to that question is no, I do not miss having hair. But I don't know who that person would be if I had hair. Because I've now not had hair for as long as I've had hair. Mm-hmm. And so my life is exactly split in half of how long, I was 15 years old when I lost my hair, and I'm 30 years old, and I've not had hair for that amount of years. But I've really just been openly bald for the past 10 years or so, maybe the last 9 years or so. So it's kind of a constant process of like rediscovering who you are and then kind of redefining who that is. And for me, like with my latest role of being a mom, that's a whole new challenge, and that presents a whole new set of concerns and strengths and weaknesses. I mean, I'm absolutely thinking about if my daughter will have alopecia, and we don't know. We don't know if she'll get it. There's a chance, mm-hmm. but we don't know if she'll be diagnosed with it or what kind of hair loss she might incur. We just don't know.
Well, talk to us about some of the common misconceptions about hair loss, especially a female being that has alopecia. I'm sure there's definitely some stigma with it and some misconceptions that go out pretty good.
Absolutely. So I think the first and foremost biggest stereotype about women with hair loss is that they are sick and that they are going through radiation and going through treatment for a cancer. And I think that that's really hard for women who are trying to be strong and trying to be brave and trying to be bold and trying to embrace their hair loss when people just come up to them with sympathy. And it happens to me all the time. I'll be in the store and I'll get approached by someone who's like, oh my gosh, you're so strong. I've been there before. Like, I'm a survivor. And that's really challenging to have to explain your story every single time that someone tries to give you praise. And it's very discouraging to go out if someone's going to provide you with an uncomfortable situation everywhere you go. I can guarantee you it's happened in bathrooms, at gas stations, at concerts and parties. And there are really, like, it sounds terrible, but we call them alopecia perks. And it's essentially people who do nice things for you, whether they think you have cancer or not. So a really good example is we were at a concert and someone offered to buy us drinks, and we said, no, that's okay. Like, my husband and I said, no, that's okay. And they said, no, we would really like to buy you a beer. And we were like, no, seriously, it's fine. So the rule is 2 no's and then yes. So it's 2 no's, like, no, because many people just won't give you the opportunity to have an explanation. They just want to do something nice. And I don't want to stop people from doing something nice. Mm-hmm. But I always try and, like, you have to pay that forward, because otherwise I think karma's going to catch up with me in a waterfall of crazy emotions. But the rule is 2 no's and a yes. And so, like, ultimately we said, yes, thank you very much. And, like, they felt good about that. Obviously we benefited from having a drink. But ultimately, I think it does better for the world to just accept kindness rather than to, like, push that away. And so that's something that I think that's the biggest stigma that I choose to address and try to break, is that women with hair loss aren't any form of weak, and they aren't any form of, like, they're not less feminine because they don't have hair. And I think that's something that a lot of women internalize, is that, oh, I don't have hair, like, I must have hair in order to be beautiful. And the media really projects so much almost like toxic information on how much hair can make someone a person. So like, exactly like what you said, like, if you were blonde, you would have more fun. And if you're a redhead, you were sassy. And if you were brunette, you were smart, or whatever those stigmas are. Women really try to identify with one of those. And having that stripped away with you without your consent is really difficult, especially at an age of 15 years old. But at any age, if you're 50 and you've had hair your whole life, that's the only person you've ever known. To have that taken away from you is extraordinarily difficult. Whereas like if you've never known hair, like a friend of mine lost her hair when she was 9 months old and has never known it. So she's like, what would I miss? I've never known life with it. So it's really interesting how, you know, a lot of the stigmas are placed on us, not necessarily just through our own values, but also through those around us. And I think that it's the community that can really put someone in an uncomfortable position.
Do you have advice for individuals with alopecia that are struggling with confidence issues?
Lots of advice. But honestly, I think the first and foremost is like, do what you want. If you want to wear a wig, wear a wig. If you want to stop wearing a wig and go out bald, then absolutely do so. But whatever you choose, embrace it fully. Because like there was a period of my life where I was really second guessing if I wanted to be wearing a wig. And it just made me that much more uncomfortable. Like I would go out and I would be hot and sweaty and I would regret wearing it. Or I would not wear it and think, no one likes me here, I should have been wearing this, like everyone's alienating me, like I don't belong. So there was many situations where I should have just felt comfortable and gone with whatever that was, but it took me a long time. And that the biggest thing I think I've learned is like everything is in baby steps. So for people who are ready to stop wearing their wigs, but they don't know where to start, for me it was, okay, I would just take it off as soon as I walked into the front door of my house. Like, this is a wig-free zone, right? This is a safe place for me. And then I would extend that to the mailbox, and then I would extend that to this person's house. So if I was at that person's house, that was another safe place. And then if I went to the grocery store, like, okay, that store is, anything out in public can become, you can like take 2 steps forward and then 4 steps back sometimes based on the interactions that you have with people. But I think you just have to know to expect the unexpected and be prepared and just be confident and just like be bold and know that this is what you want and that it's not a destination, it's just a journey. And you just know that you're on that road. You're sitting in traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's say me or one of the viewers wanted to help support somebody that has alopecia. How would we go about doing that?
There's a few different ways that you can support those with alopecia. I think the first thing is knowing that you have an impact on the community. And making someone feel comfortable within their own skin is huge. And we need to be doing that not just for people with alopecia, but for people who have other autoimmune diseases, who people have other conditions like vitiligo and other very visible aesthetic changes that aren't necessarily anything that they can do anything about. And I think unfortunately we stigmatize so much of anything to do with change as something that's not good for them, or that's hurtful. And I think the best thing we can do is just embrace people and say, like, you're really strong, and like compliment not their aesthetic but their mind.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think it's really important that not just hair loss, but all body changes and all health conditions are destigmatized. You know, I think it's important that we understand that hair isn't what makes a woman. Breasts aren't what make a woman. There's so many really inspirational people that I know who, you know, I can't say that, who don't have a uterus and are still women, you know, and there's just so many, you know, health factors that we wrap into, that makes you a woman, that makes you a woman, and that's what makes you beautiful. And the truth is that like that's not the case. And I think it really lies not within the individual who's diagnosed, but within the community and the surrounding people, that they embrace what that person wants. You know, so if that person dyes their hair purple and like that's my identity, that's who I want to be, that's what makes me feel really comfortable, then we embrace that. You know, if that person wants to have, you know, a unique look, then we should absolutely embrace that. But I just don't feel as though, you know, supporting one person on their journey, you know, we always, at the Children's Alopecia Project, we always say, like, it's not, if your child is diagnosed with alopecia, your family is diagnosed with alopecia. Because it's not just the child who's responsible for having alopecia. Everyone in their family is now responsible for telling their friends and family, for telling their peers at school, for explaining to their brothers and sisters, like, oh no, my brother, he's got alopecia. It's a hair loss disease, and yeah, he's not contagious or anything. It's fine. And it's your 5-year-old who has to go to school and explain, mommy has hair loss, and mommy's okay, and mommy's not sick or whatever. There's going to be kids that will be like, is your mommy a boy or a girl? And it's a super innocent question, but your child is now tasked with having to explain this and kind of know enough about it to carry that with them for the rest of their life. So I think, we always just say, like, it's not just the child who has alopecia, all of you have alopecia. And I think, once the community can understand their impact and how that can change someone's life to make that individual much more comfortable, that right there at the end of the day that's what it's all about. That's what we do at CAP. We want to build confidence. And I think that just helps people remain confident in who they are.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I'm Justin Nachazel.
Kylie Bamberger.
And thanks for watching. Can I get a Michael Jackson girl? Can I get a straight hair?
Okay. Unfortunately, when you look at me, it's totally covered. Screw forward a little bit that way.
All right.
Sure. Don't move. I think the most important thing to address with anyone with hair loss is that it's... Ask me again. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Ask me again. Ask me again. Yeah.
Red rum.
Let's see show. Okay.
She did. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Nope. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think the most. Yes, I think.
Yes, there is.
There is.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, ask me this.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah.
Yeah! Well, now that you mentioned it, for the 10th time.